Alright, here we are, game 3 between these two teams. Room Factory, and now they've got a different name, Anime Pro Boxera. And we take a look at these drafts. Nature's Prophet, Earthshaker, Viper for Room Factory banned out, with the Dire banning out Enchantress, Nightstalker, Nyx, Bane Marana for Room Factory, Lich Venomancer for the Dire. So, interesting draft coming out from both sides already.
You know, that Marana pick worked really well for Room Factory. I think they play that hero really well, and they have another hero to help set up the arrows again. They have the Bane, so this is actually a surprisingly potent safe lane combination. Now that I think about it, just the setup into arrow. I mean, it was always good. I just forgot about it because no one really picked it in the last couple of months. But coming up from Dire, they have a Lich Venomancer. You know, these two heroes. They're sort of, I guess, the success stories of TI. These two heroes, didn't really expect them to be as strong as they are, or as strong as they appeared, but, you know, Lich is one of those heroes that basically wins his lane by default by just eating the ranged creeps, and Venomancer is a really solid pick because he doesn't need a lot of babysitting, which allows Lich and Slardar to, I guess, well, Lich and Slardar to do their thing, and he also doesn't need a lot to have a huge impact in games. Basically, just level 7 and Veil or Hurricane Pike or whatever you decide to get, and you're pretty much just maximum effectiveness from just going into the fight, casting your ulti and Gale and hitting people. Room Factory, they pick up a Shadow Shaman, which leads me to think again that this is going to be core Marana. I think if Room Factory pull off what they did last game, which is this like early aggression, getting a lot of kills all over the map, I think they'll actually end up doing pretty well. The one thing that worked out really well for Room Factory as well last game was that Enchantress pick, and I think if they end up with a similar laning situation where you just have this hero that absolutely owns the lane and is able to do that much damage to the tier 1, I think they'll be in a good spot. But the Enchantress doesn't really work out for them this game. And also the Enchantress is banned, but like doubly doesn't work out because Enchantress definitely doesn't destroy Venomancer or Weaver as hard as she destroyed Necrophos.
Both these teams it seems like they both know what they want almost immediately. Last two games, they were a little bit slower on their picks, but they seem like they kind of know what they want. They've got Bane Marana, Shadow Shaman, Bloodseeker this time around. Does that mean we're going to see mid Marana or possibly safe lane Marana again for the side of Room Factory?
It's hard to say. I think she's best run as a mid, just because she's got that survivability and that kill potential, but she's also good as a safe laner. So I guess Bloodseeker is also in the same boat, right? Like both Marana and Bloodseeker can be run as a safe lane or mid. So I think it really depends on the lane matchup. It depends on what these final picks will be, because Dire can sort of have a similar situation where they send the Weaver off lane, the Venomancer mid, and then this final hero mid, or final hero safe lane.
Turn to pick.
They banned the TA, which leads me to think that Bloodseeker might be mid. So TA is one of those heroes that does well against Bloodseeker in lane. That extra damage, and just the ability to use Refraction to dodge the right clicks.
5 seconds remaining.
So TA Void banned out by Room Factory and then the Dire respectively. They're into their last picks. What do you think fits into both these lineups the best?
I mean, these lineups just are quite different than what we're used to seeing at TI, so really whatever works best for them. Queen of Pain's a solid pick. The only problem I see with Room Factory's lineup is that their initiation isn't easy. Like, you have this setup you know, like sleep or shackle into arrow, but that really rarely happens in the mid to late game. And so if Rune Factory want to set up a kill in the mid game, it either has to be one where someone has to get caught out of position or they have to hit a random arrow. It's definitely not one of those lineups that just likes to run directly into the enemy team, because they don't have that instant AoE initiation like a Slardar or a Sand King or a Earthshaker. And so I think for Dire's last pick, they probably just want something that does well against Queen of Pain mid. It's like, I think Puck is a good option. There's also maybe Lina, but I don't think Lina does as well against oh, I guess it's Lina. So
don't doubt
whatever
yourself.
works best for them. Lina is weird this game because of Rupture, because Lina likes to run around, kite people, stun the heck out of people, but when she's ruptured, she no longer functions the same.
I feel like, though, in that same vein, if you're rupturing the Lina, you're letting the Weaver just run all over you, and when Weaver is not getting caught, that's where he does his best. That's
true. I think they're hoping that the team fights will work out in such a way that they get to have an advantage where the Lina doesn't have to, or whoever's ruptured doesn't have to worry about being stationary or taking a little bit more damage.
10 seconds.
Bloodseeker's one of those weird heroes that ended up like... All of these heroes are really strange that ended up coming like top of the meta from TI. The Lich, the Necro, the Veno, the Bloodseeker. I mean, Earthshaker's not surprising to me because Earthshaker's skill set has always been useful. You know, it turns out if your hero has 3 stuns and one of them has no cast point, that your hero is really good. So like Earthshaker didn't surprise me, but what did surprise me was that these heroes, which you typically thought were... They're like different, right? Like usually top tier heroes, they're like flashy. They do a lot of burst damage, or they have big team fight abilities. But these heroes are like, they kind of just kill you slowly, or they eat away at your soul too in a way, you know? Like, no one enjoys playing against Lich Venomancer.
Yeah, a lot of these heroes are the heroes you just don't want to see in your pub games. You don't want to see a Bloodseeker. You don't want to be up against the Venomancer. It's just like, now that... Which
is weird, because at the same time I really enjoy... I really enjoy the Venomancer hero. Like, over the last year, ever since they changed the... I forgot what they changed, but basically the way I play Venomancer is I jungle him from level 1. Though I don't recommend it. So as a result, I really had like a... I really enjoyed the hero. Is what I never played him as a safe laner mid that often, but turns out he's just really good. For the same reason why it worked out for my jungling too, which is that you basically only need levels. You need like to be on the same level as the enemy cores, and that your hero will thrive because you're so good at pushing out waves safely and kiting people.
You've been playing a little bit of Venomancer recently.
Definitely, he's a weird hero because he doesn't flash farm, and he does benefit a lot from farm. So it's more of a hero that requires like map awareness and like awareness of what you should be doing at a given stage in time. It's like you can help your team take objectives, but you have to know which objectives to take and when to take them. And it looks like it's a safe lane Bloodseeker.
That puts Mirana in the off lane.
It's fine, there's a lot of kill potential in this lane still. The other thing that Radiant have to probably recognize is that Liches rarely run in a tri-lane. Like, you never really tri-lane a Lich. It's always like a dual lane mid or a dual lane off lane.
They might actually get a kill if Dire's not too careful. They've got 3 setting up here, possible arrow, and oh boy, that's the Weaver split second away from being hit with.
Bane has boots though.
I'm half expecting him to want someone to turn on him, but
30 seconds to battle.
Both of these teams have been pretty diligent about setting a hero to break the smoke.
Yeah.
It's just a good idea, just so there's no like funny business happening.
Venno and Lich make their way over towards the bottom bounty rune, so it could be a 2-2 split again in bounty runes. And they are coming over, just the Bloodseeker and the Shadow Shaman. They'll give it up to the Venomancer, and actually no, 3 for 1. So Slardar happens to get the top bounty rune of the Radiant, so they get 3. First time that's happened. Now in the 3rd game. And Bane just eating some shots after that Slithering Crush. Gonna have that Tango, and they'll just trade some blows. Another Slithering Crush comes out. Bane's still alive. No Brain Sap for him, but he is gonna Nightmare him up and just trade with each other. We take a look over bottom.
Queen of Pain's skilled Blink to try to snipe the courier, but he didn't get the second attack off. Kind of a weird lane for Queen of Pain. Normally Queen of Pain wants to be able to Shadow Strike her opponent, do a lot of harass. Lina kind of counteracts that. Lina's got the range to last hit from a distance, and also her spell range is also like the same as Shadow Strike, so if you want to Shadow Strike the Lina, you're going to have to tank a stun.
And they wanted the Bane in this lane to help out the Quap, but Slardar was just there to trade blows and pushes the Bane away. So it seems like Quap, especially up against this Lina, it's one of those lanes where you want that babysitting.
Yeah, well, it's not the worst for Queen of Pain. She can just sit back. Like, she's got like pretty much equal footing when it comes to last hitting in terms of damage and animation. The only problem for Queen of Pain is that Lina has the ability to push out the wave with Dragon Slave, and I missed the kill.
So did I. Don't worry about it. Well, now we're gonna get the shackle, so we're not gonna miss this other kill.
No.
We'll see a second. We miss first blood. Both kills go the way of this Bloodseeker Shadow Shaman combo.
I think it's my opinion here, but the moment you die, oh my god. So the moment you die in a Lich lane, the lane gets really hard for the Lich. Because the Lich thrives on having like an EXP advantage on the enemy team, and if you give up kills, then that advantage goes away, and it makes your lane a lot harder, because Bloodseeker and Shadow Shaman are actually very capable of killing these two heroes if you get the shackle off.
They're actually going to send another hero down here, the Slardar. They've got both slows coming in from the Venomancer and the Lich. Bloodseeker getting very low. The Slithering Crush to keep him so close to this dire side. And there it is again with another Frost Blast. They'll take out the Bloodseeker. And that was 3 over here bottom for just the Bloodseeker. Lina's doing a pretty good job over mid. They've got the Shadow Shaman coming over. There's the blink with the Shadow Strike. Stun comes out on the Shadow Shaman, who did use Shackles. They might still be able to get the kill on this Lina. I think they need 2 more shots, but with that bottle, BZZ is going to be able to survive.
That was a really cool stun from the Lina. Actually, one of the cool things about Lina's stun is that the animation completes, and then the stun has that delay, so you can actually stun people that are channeling spells onto you.
So they look towards this Bloodseeker again. They're just going to continue to throw out this Frost Blast. He's all by himself, but now the Shadow Shaman's going to be coming over. But they've got Slardar waiting over in the trees, and that's going to be a nice Slithering Crush with another Frost Blast coming out from this Lich, but the Ether Shot coming through. Bloodseeker will survive, gets himself 1 kill. He's going to look towards getting this Venomancer. Needs 1 more shot, and now he lines it up. It could be a triple kill if this Sardar's not too careful. He's going to be silenced up. They're going to continue to go in, but now with the Lich here, there is the Frost Blast to back him up.
Yep. Bloodseeker just went full race car mode. Not quite, but race car enough. Took down 2 heroes, traded 1 for 2. I'm sure the Shadow Shaman's happy with that.
Trying to slow him enough to get the Venomancer in range to get the Venomous Gale out there. We take a look over at the Lina. who is just getting harassed by this Shadow Shaman. There's the Shackles. Courier coming in, has Ether Shock, one more shot. And hasted Shadow Shaman half the levels of the Lina will get the kill. Arrow comes through, stops the Weaver. And they are going to actually dust as well. Bane's going to try and run himself away, and they are looking for the Slithering Crush. They will get it on the Bane. Coming in with the Xakohche is going to be Weaver, but he rethinks that plan and backs off, so they don't lose either hero.
It's actually huge for the Shadow Shaman. He doubled his levels from the Lina kill and the Bounty Rune, and he's also got boots, so despite the rough start, I think he's in a pretty good spot.
This lineup here from the Radiant side just seems like a lineup that can really get out of control pretty quickly, especially once that Rupture is available. You get themselves the dust up top on the Weaver. They've got the Nightmare. Arrow flies through. There's the Starstorm, and another kill goes their way. This time they get the Weaver.
Really good kill there. And they're actually lucky that they caught the Weaver in Xakohche, because I think if he held it even after the arrow, he might have been able to just run away.
Possibly, but now he's under Sentry.
Actually, probably not.
He's got to watch
out. And he actually did die pretty quickly.
Yeah, Starstorm is what finished him.
Down bottom.
Bottom, they've got the Shackles out, and the Venomancer getting very low as this Bloodseeker with the Venomous Gale on him. It's actually the Shadow Shaman who gets the kill. But Venomous Gale isn't going to do enough to the Bloodseeker.
Might get sniped here.
Ooh, Frostblast just gets that creep kill. That was way closer than it needed to be.
Dude, I feel so sad because the Lich just ate a Siege Creep. Those things are so useful.
You need that mana. Apparently.
Really does.
So 2,000 net worth advantage for the Radiant side already. And this Weaver's still under that Sentry Ward vision, up for another 2 minutes just about. So he's got to watch out. He can't even really push these creeps away in his own lane, because right away a Nightmare will come out with an arrow. He comes under Sentry Ward vision again. And actually, meanwhile, bottom, they get the kill on this Bloodseeker as well as the Shadow Shaman. So 2 kills go their way. But we look up top again. And now here's the Slardar. Moonlight Shadow comes out. Got the bug there. Slithering Crush hits on him. Xakohche comes through.
These games are so action-packed. I love it.
Yeah, it's not that 8 minutes into a game and no first blood. We're actually seeing a lot of
mid
action. As meanwhile, Shackles comes out mid onto the Lina, looking for the stun, but the ulti flies through from the Quap. Sonic Wave gets the kill. And Lina will end up dropping.
I think this game looks really tough for the Lina. And normally Lina kind of wants the lane advantage, so she's allowed to push out the waves safely, put pressure on the tower. But this game, it's tough because the Queen of Pain's actually ahead enough that she's willing to just blink and trade hits with the Lina, and she has to worry about the Rupture later as well.
Yeah, Bloodseeker actually getting really low. That Venomous Gale is just ticking so much. And there's the Plague Ward. They're just going to spot him out. TP comes through from the Bane. And Bloodseeker's still in a lot of trouble. He's going to end up dying. Gets the Rupture out on the Venomancer, who can't go anywhere. Venomous Gale thrown at Bane. Bane should end up dying. There's the Brain Sap to try and get somebody low, but they don't end up getting the kill, so they're going to lose 2. Slardar is going to die. And Venomancer is going to be able to TP out. They should lose this Lich, so it will be a 2 for 2. Oh, arrow. Nope, not going to hit on this Weaver, but still, again, Sentry Ward's here just chasing this Weaver down and ends up time-lapsing again under Sentry Ward vision. So the vision here from the Radiant's been really good.
This Weaver's actually out of mana. I wonder if Radiant know it.
So Bloodseeker with a strong start ends up dying consecutively 3 times, and that slows him down to a crawl now behind the Quap.
I think he'll be fine though. He's got some good matchups against the Lina and Weaver with Rupture, and his Queen of Pain's ahead enough that they're actually, when they do decide to make moves, they're actually able to make really aggressive plays.
Actually move the Lina towards the top lane. Let's see if we can make anything happen.
The struggle for Dire is that they need to get farm on their Weaver and Lina, but there's really not a lot of places to do it. Ideally, when you run a Lich lineup, you're ahead at this point.
So Moonlight Shadow comes out. Lina and Sword are going to back up under tower.
Worthy tribute.
They're trying to bring down Radiant's top tower.
And bottom looking a lot better for this Venomancer as well as the Lich. So they seem to be doing all right. Meanwhile, they've moved the Weaver over mid. And this could be trouble, but does have that time lapse, so Weaver A-okay.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Take a look over bottom. There's the Serpent Wards with the Shackle. Should be a kill. Meanwhile, the Rupture comes out on the Venomancer. But he'll be able to just TP away. Weaver's got himself a return kill on the Shadow Shaman. They've got the Nightmare coming through in the Sworder. That'll stop the stun. Weaver's going to try and come in. No Rupture available for the Bloodseeker. So this could be a dire fight they want to take, but now with the Bane and the Mirana as well as the Quap down here, they look like they're just going to go and retreat.
Lots of rotations coming from Radiant, actually a surprising amount. I think they were expecting a bigger fight, but Dire, you know, they know that they're a little bit behind, so you never really want to take a 5-on-5 fight unless it's really good when you're behind. I think they're comfortable with just sitting, well, having 4 heroes there. You know, they pull Radiant to bottom, and the Weaver's just farming top, pressuring top, and getting himself back in the game.
Which does spot this smoke coming his way, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. They've got the Rupture again on Venomancer, who doesn't have TP for another 17 seconds. Nightmare comes through onto the Slardar. That'll slow him up for just a moment, and the Sonic Wave will get the kill for the Radiant. So they end up getting 2. They've got 4 heroes down here, and maybe they just continue to push forward, get themselves a tier 1.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower can't handle this deluge.
Well, the Bane's gonna go down here.
Arrow. Just a little bit wide.
And a courier.
That is unfortunate.
I think Radiant will probably decide to forfeit this bottom tower since they don't really have the spells. You don't have Queen of Pain ulti, you don't have, well, you do have Rupture, but Bloodseeker's out of mana, so Dire will probably try to pressure this tower bottom. Whether or not they'll also move to mid is a different question. Looks like they're starting to rotate the heroes in.
Swarm comes through, not going to hit on anybody. Shackles comes out onto the Slardar, but immediately stopped by the Light Strike Array. That's going to hit for the Lina. They'll get themselves a kill on the Shadow Shaman. Chain Frost bouncing around. The Mirana looks like she's going to be dead next, but not before they take the Lich. And it's actually a double kill for the Quap, getting the Weaver and the Lich. Rupture comes through on the Slardar. Not much he can do in terms of running in to try and TP out, but there's no chance for that with 3 heroes here.
That's actually not the worst, considering that they didn't lose. Actually, they did lose a core, but they're behind enough, and they got the bottom tier 1 as well. But it looks like this Shadow Shaman's setting up to wrap on this Venomancer. Also mid, a bit of action, Fiend's Grip.
Fiend's Grip comes out on the Lich, getting very low, should be dead, and now the Weaver comes through with the Light Strike Array, hitting on Bane and the Venomous Gale. They'll take the split. A 1-for-1 in supports. A nice long arrow comes out on the Weaver, who's coming right over towards the Quap. Now the Quap knows it. He'll back off. Looks like Dire is setting up for the late game. They've got a Midas on the Weaver, Midas on the Venomancer.
Oh. Queen of... Generally, this is how you want to play Lina when you're in one of these games. You want to move around with your supports, get a lot of pickoffs. Might actually get a kill on the Queen of Pain here.
Comes out on 3. They'll get the Quap. Nightmare to hold the Lina in place for now. This Plague Ward is destroying this Pain.
Actually, with that, the Lina's back caught up with the Queen of Pain.
Yeah, even in front. Take a look over. Slithering Crush comes through. Bloodseeker might be in a bit of trouble. Avoids the stun. Chain Frost comes out. Hits on that neutral. Luckily enough for him, moves back, but he's still dead nonetheless. So, no Quap, no Bloodseeker. Another kill goes the way of the Dire. Blink. Slithering Crush comes through onto this Shadow Shaman. Going to try and survive with the Shrine, but he's not really well off. And actually, they'll get the kill on the Slardar before trading his life to the Lina.
Up top, Weaver's arrowed.
Nightmare, Arrow, Dust, Sonic Wave, everything coming through for the Radiant to get that kill on the Weaver.
Yeah, this game is surprisingly close, but it has swung back into Dire's favor, especially with those really crucial pickoffs that the Lina helped use to get her back in the game.
Yeah, now sits in front of the Bloodseeker as well. And Venomancer top of the net worth.
Venom's got a hood and a Midas. He's ready to just do Venomancer things. You know, this is the Venomancer classic gameplay. You're just in the enemy's safe lane. You're like rotating between towers, using your wards to farm.
They Moonlight Shadow, so maybe he gets caught out. But they are having rotations from the rest of their team. So he's got the Poison, Nova, Starstorm hits, but here comes a Blink, Slithering Crush out on 2. And Venomancer getting pretty low with the Shadow Strike. Might end up dropping, but it looks as though they're going to trade for a Mirana. And Shadow Shaman will drop as well from this Weaver.
I think Dire benefit the most out of that because they're also going to get this tier 2 bottom. I haven't really felt this Bloodseeker's presence. It's actually been a little bit difficult for him to get into these fights because you have the Slardar. He has to worry about the Slardar stun, Lina stun, and speaking of Slardar stun,
yeah, Rupture comes in, but not really making enough space just yet. He'll get silenced up, but he's still Rupture, not going to move to really help out the Lina. But that does force the Bloodseeker back. Coming around the back end though is going to be the Shadow Shaman. And Rupture's worn off, so they won't be able to get a Shackle in there in time.
Dire have the spyglass at hand.
Bloodseeker doing a good job of dodging that gank.
Is about to take the plunge.
Looks like he gets to farm a little bit more for now. He has that Midas. Looks like he's working on a Yasha next.
Yeah, but still just... like you said, I just don't feel his presence in this game.
And we probably won't feel it for a while. I mean, Radiant had an advantage to sort of take, sort of abuse Rupture for a while. Especially when the Queen of Pain was so ahead that I think she was like willing to blink into fights and stuff. But now, Radiant have to play a bit more carefully. And I think Dire's lineup is actually very well equipped to deal with the Queen of Pain and Bloodseeker. They have lots of stuns, lots of burst damage, and also this Weaver's gonna be a nuisance for the supports of Radiant.
Dire, they're gonna move into the Roche Pit. Corrosive Haze gonna help take that quickly.
Yeah, you have a double damage, you have the amplify damage from Slardar, and you also have the bugs from the Weaver, so that was a quick Roshan, and Radiant are on the move again.
So now with that Aegis, it doesn't seem like Radiant really want to take a fight here. A very strong Dire team is available. And Mirana, boy, going to be sent back with that Swarm as well as the Corrosive Haze, and this is opening up the tier 2.
Like how they gave the Aegis to the least farmed of the 3 cores, but also mid.
Big take a look. There's the Rupture coming out onto the Lina. Arrow's not going to hit. Sidesteps it, but here comes the Bloodseeker, who really can't come in. He could fight that Lina, but if he gets stunned, he's probably more than dead. And now he actually turns it towards the Lich, gets himself a kill, so they'll find one. Meanwhile, Weaver just off farming, and neutral creeps will get credit for the kill on the Mirana. Bloodseeker, he could be in a bit of trouble. Corrosive Haze looking for the stun. Here comes the Yule. Sonic Wave as well as the Shadow Strike hits on the Lina. They look for the Bloodseeker, still not dead just yet. He's trying to deny himself to neutrals, but Venomancer will get credit for that. Blink, Slithering Crush out on the Shadow Shaman, but avoiding it is going to be the Quap. So let's see what they can do. They've got the Hex here on the Slardar with Bane coming in with the Fiend's Grip. Should be another kill going their way. And it will be. This is a fight that didn't have a Weaver in it at all.
I found it a little bit odd. I mean, Weaver, someone had to TP top to defend the tower, but the fact that Dire stuck around to continue fighting that is a little bit weird. The Weaver is caught back up into the game, though, after, I guess, 2-minute farming session.
He's doing alright. Still has that Midas, still has the Aegis.
I think he's just about done his Lincolns as well.
Bane might be in a bit of trouble. Showing over mid, Blink, Slithering Crush, Corrosive Haze. They're Nightmare. So now Radiant, they might be the ones who are looking to fight. Bale comes through onto the Lich, but Dire, they're ready to counter-initiate. No Shadow Shaman, they know he's up top, probably looking to put Serpent Wards down for the tier 2 as an arrow hits the Weaver.
That's a weird thing about Shadow Shaman. Like, whenever you see a split pushing support, you're like, oh, that's just the support. But when you see a split pushing Shadow Shaman, you actually have to fear for your tower's life.
Yeah, they're going to try and trade tier 2s. They're looking over mid. Another arrow eaten by the Weaver. Just keeping him nearby. Blink, Slither Crush on the Mirana. Nightmare's going to stop that stun from hitting on the White Striker Ray, but the Laguna Blade comes in and the Lina gets the kill. So it does not matter. They'll take this tier 2. They'll lose their tier 2 top. So they are going to trade in terms of towers.
The trade was a good concept, especially when you have the Weaver with the Aegis also, I should...
Slithering Crush, Light Strike Array. And they're looking for the kill on the Bane, who survived because of this nice Shrine. Weaver comes in pretty deep. He's hexed up. Meanwhile, Lina's going to drop. They've got the Shackles on the Weaver, but nobody following this up. Bloodseeker's finally here. There's the time lapse. But that could have been, for sure, at least the Aegis out on that Weaver.
Dire's top tower is about to take
It was a good idea to trade the towers, but it was a little odd that the Mirana kind of walked into the fight there. Definitely, I think if the Mirana was alive for that fight and it happened the way it did, that it might have looked different. Like the Weaver might have lost the Aegis and then maybe gotten arrowed after the Aegis and died again. But not the worst for Radiant. I mean, they survived probably for at least until the next Aegis.
Yeah, so they've got some time to farm, and you take a look at what's coming next on these heroes. Shiva's for the Quap. Bloodseeker looking for the Radiance.
I don't think it'll be enough to have the Radiance on Bloodseeker. You really... What they really need is, like, the bottom.
Shaman bottom. Arrow comes through, hits the Sardar, but that's not going to save his life. Bale comes out on a couple of these heroes. Starstorm flies through, Force Staff away. There's the Chain Frost, and Bloodseeker hits with that Laguna Blade, and Moonlight Shadow's not going to matter when the team's got a sentry right on top of you. Quap's got a kill this time on the Slardar, but you've lost yourselves a Bloodseeker and a Shadow Shaman for just that Slardar. It's not really a good trade, and now it looks as though it's going to be the Bane who's going to be dead as well.
Oh. Things looking really good for the Dire. I think the problem with Bloodseeker this game is Bloodseeker thrives in games where your team's actually able to run into the enemy team, to maximize the effects of that blood right, the rupture, also the thirst. But this game, it feels like they can't exactly get into the fight correctly. Like, yeah, you're fighting through like Chain Frost, Venomancer spells, Lena spells, and a Slider stun.
It's really hard for
It's tough.
Radiant
Yeah, I
to do
definitely don't see Radiant taking a 5-on-5 fight with their lineup
and
at this
Mirana
point.
might even get solo killed by the Weaver, but arrow thrown out and avoided. Bloodseeker's here, so maybe he looks for a rupture, but Xakohche and no vision for the Radiant won't let that.
I think for now, both teams are going to try to just keep the lanes out, go for pickoffs whenever they can, but effectively both teams are waiting for Roche before they really aim for an objective.
Roche coming up in possibly a minute 15, but when Roche finally does come up, with the items that these teams are starting to get, who's got the better Roche fight potential?
Well, if we're talking about just like the speed of taking Roche, Dire's got it on lock with the Slaughter ult and the Weaver bugs, but as for fighting the pit, I think both teams are pretty good at it. The thing is, like, Bloodright is super good at fighting into the pit. You get vision of the pit, you got the silence, the pure damage, but none of these teams will actually directly try to Roche without at least getting a pick off first. I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna figure out that Roche is up, like Venom's gonna put a ward in there, and then Dire's gonna try to maneuver around.
Oh boy, Blink, Slither, and Crush up top. Swarm flies through with the Corrosive Haze out on the Shadow Shaman. He should be more than dead. And he does end up dropping.
Dire's bottom tower won't last long.
And if they scout it, Roche should be up in the next couple of seconds.
Dire's bottom tower.
Oh, that's possible.
Or, wait,
22 seconds.
yep.
Radiant's top
Right.
tower is on the rise.
I didn't notice the, I thought that was the second stage.
Fortification. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Pushing this tier 2 Roche up in 10. Uh-oh, Bane. That's not the best spot for you to be in. And there is the Weaver coming over with the Force Staff from the Sardar. And dead is this Bane. Now they look towards the Quap. Southern Crush comes out on 2. Here comes the Chain Frost. It's still going to hit that Quap. Lena will drop. But that's Quap dead for 70 seconds. No buyback. Roche up. And Radiant in a lot of trouble. Bloodseeker hit by that Slytherin Crush, has the Corrosive Haze out on him, trying to get the silence, not going to be enough. He dies, 54 seconds with buyback.
Bit of a misstep from the Bloodseeker there. I actually think that pickup is huge because it gives Dire a bit more time to decide what they want. Maybe go for Roche. They can certainly take it before the Bloodseeker's up if they start heading there now.
We'll see that it's up. So there's the Swarm on it, Corrosive Haze, and this is a pretty quick Roche. 28 minutes into the game.
Yep. And they'll probably give this to the Weaver again. With that, I think they'll try to keep the lanes out. Ideally fight outside of the enemy's base because you actually don't want to high ground right away. If you high ground, you risk getting arrowed, ruptured, or any setup into rupture. And that would just immediately result in losing the Aegis, so... You're gonna try keep... Dire's probably going to try to keep the lanes out and look for a pickoff before they do anything big.
It could be the Shadow Shaman who's just trying to push up top. He's way far out. And there's the stun coming through from Lena with the Laguna Blade. He's going to try and TP away, but that's a futile effort.
That's just something he has to do at this point. Just like he did with the top tier 2.
Well, Sardar eats that arrow, and he'll end up being a casualty for the side of the Dire.
I think Radiant have to keep their lanes out as much as possible to sort of deter the Dire from just attempting the high ground. Is a Fiend's Group somewhere?
On the Lina up top. And Lina gonna get that stun coming out with the Venomancer around the corner. Quap, I don't know if you want to be there. Chain Frost is thrown. And time lapse to avoid the silence. Actually, a very nice play there from the Weaver. They're still going to continue to look for this Lina who eats cheese. Laguna Blade out onto that Quap to get the kill. They'll clean up another in the Mirana. And 2 are dead here for the Radiant side, now down 12,000 net worth. They land that stun. The Venomous Gale comes through. Nightmare to try and extend the Bloodseeker's life, but it's really not looking good as they now lose the Bane. They'll lose the Bloodseeker on top of that, as well as the Shadow Shaman. It's a team wipe for the Dire. 4 of these heroes have buyback, but it's going to be a rough fight even with that buyback. So Quap comes in, looks towards the Weaver who still has that Aegis. He didn't even get that. See if they could go in on these heroes again. Stun, Venomous Gale, dead you are. Bane, Laguna Blade, Shadow Shaman's gonna drop. There's the Yules out on the Quap. They get the stun to hit him up again. Slithering Crush to follow that up. You're chain stunned. And now the Weaver looks at the Mirana who's trying to run away. Hit with that Diffusal Blade, slowed up, trying to get back to base. And it's just gonna be GG. They finally pop the Aegis, but other than that, really just nothing getting accomplished. They lose the whole team again. And it is the Dire side that does take this game 3.
You know, it looked bad for Dire at first, but they kept that Venomancer on top of the bottom lane, and they kept the Lina leveled enough that later on in the mid game she got a few critical pickoffs and a really big pickoff on the Queen of Pain that put them back in the game. And with that, it became really difficult for the Bloodseeker and the Queen of Pain to fight their way back.
So Dire, they take it. And they move on to the finals of this open qualifier. BZZ and Yoki with Misha from N19, Chu, I'm not sure what team he's from, and Ark. So they're going to move on to the finals. We'll be back with that soon. I don't know how the other semi's going. Maybe there's a game 3 there that we're going to do. I'm not too sure just yet. But finals are coming up soon as the Dire do take this. So we'll be back in just a moment. I'm your caster, B-Cop. I'm joined here by Franz. Our Twitter is at BCop92 for myself, and for Franz, it is at HelloFranz. Stay right there. I'll figure out what's next. Tell you in the chat. And thank you guys for watching so far.